Maps and description of location. It's located west of the Euphrates River, and it's ideal for trading goods because it's near the river, and floods were very common in the area of Babylon, and there were abundant resources of clay near the river.
Time period of the Amorites. They began settling in the region of northern Mesopotamia, or Babylonia, but they emerged from western, so they just traveled from western to northern in 3rd millennium BCE. And in 1894 BC, Sumu-Abum established the Babylonian dynasty, and this later produced Hammurabi, who is widely known. And he was a ruler from 1792 to 750 BC, and known by Amaru or Amar, meaning Westerners or those of the West.
Key figures. King Hammurabi, which was the king of Babylon, and he was the first to establish the first written laws in history, and he also united Mesopotamia under his kingdom. And then there's Sin, god of the moon, and father of gods. He was like the main god that they worshipped. And there's Agid-Lim, and he's an Amorite king, and he established kings under a dynasty in the city of Mari. And then there's Amur, and he's lord of the mountains and in charge of like the weather, so they pray to him a lot for good crops.
This is me. So, religion and civilization. Amorite kingdoms replaced the Sumerian city-state system, which we learned about earlier in the textbook, and it changed the area's political, social, and economic structure. Men, land, and cattle were owned by gods and temples and kings, and they worshipped the two main gods, Sin and Amaru. Sin was the moon god, and that's him right here. This is a picture on a stone tablet, and this is just a statue of Amaru. And Amaru was described as a shepherd, and he was the son of the Mesopotamian sky god Anu.
Alright, so important contributions. They were nomads, and they came over and invaded Sumer, and basically just, they started living there, and the Sumerians and the people who were living there tried to keep them out, but they kind of just went around the walls that they built and gradually came in until they were controlling kingdoms. And they established the kingdom of Mari in Syria, which was really important to archaeologists because they found 50,000 tablets there, which helped them understand a lot about what was happening during that time period. They influenced a lot of the Mesopotamian social and political structure because they changed the city-states into kingdoms, which changed a lot of how the social classes were and how everything worked. And they turned Babylon from like a small town into a city and became really important later on. So that's why they're known as the Old Babylonians. And the changing to kingdoms impacted world culture a lot because kingdoms were later developed. They declined around the time of Hammurabi's son because he couldn't continue on as Hammurabi could. He'd created a gigantic kingdom, and his son didn't really know how to defend it all. So the Hittites and Assyrians began to attack it, and the biggest loss was when Mursili I attacked Babylon and basically destroyed everything there. In around 1600 BC, the Amorite period ended in Mesopotamia, but then by 1100 BC, Amaru or Amorite was not specific to any person or group of people.
So Hammurabi was the 6th king in the Babylonian dynasty, and he established Hammurabi's code. And it was really unfair because the penalties really weren't just for the crime that the people committed, like an eye for an eye penalty, like if someone poked or killed someone, then they would be killed, or if a son hit his own father, his hand would get chopped off. So the penalties weren't really just, like they didn't serve jail time. It was usually either killing someone or cutting something off of their body.
Yeah. Okay.